Padding schmatting, I'm a tampon girl. Glad I don't have to deal with that. I just have to deal with this cyst on my ass. This isn't basketball, but I'm back at it with the ass cyst. And today we're looking back at a video entitled Free Abby / Project Orca. This was the season premiere of Monkey Season, and it came out a couple of weeks ago. Could not have been that long. I come out with 2 of these a day. And when I'm not writing, I'm typically taking a break by going to the Circle K in my car for another Polar Pop. Perhaps all this sitting down is what led to the cyst on my ass. Yes, even the Holy Ghost is full of pus. Women poop, and the Holy Ghost has pus, but doesn't have health insurance, and I don't take government handouts because I'm afraid of government paperwork. And one time I failed on my taxes by screwing up a decimal place, so anytime the government gives me anything, I assume they are gonna want it back eventually. Let's be honest, the system isn't keeping us alive because it enjoys our company, it enjoys its companies, and I don't want to work for them. This similar impulse drives a lot of people to YouTube, and one of these people is Abigail Thorne, the YouTuber behind PhilosophyTube. She's on the Cyberspy team for Oxford or some bullshit. Like, obviously that kind of a person with that kind of an audience, royal blood, and academic history is gonna want a piece of this. How often do you get to monitor the new false messiah who turns out to actually be the bitch who's gonna destroy your whole fucking country, cunt? But honestly, no hard feelings on her part. Just rock hard dicks. I'd be psychically sucking that lady penis all day, and I don't know if she still has one. Also, it was only one time, so far, but she opened my eyes to some new dildo tricks and just wow. So we gotta free her to find out if it was actually her. M'lady. And hopefully by the time she's free, I've dealt with this cyst on my ass. Like, beyond any sort of meetup in public, I just want to sit down comfortably. But I made the mistake of agitating it. You see, I had a pimple on the bottom of my foot. Has that ever happened to you? 32 years of life, and I have never got a pimple on the bottom of my foot. I thought it was a planter's wart or something, but I decide to give it a squeeze, and a solid pearl of pus pops right out. So I figured the same would be true of my ass. And I love talking about this stuff because they say you don't talk about religion, politics, or finance. And as a religious icon, world diplomat, and financial crimes investigator, that doesn't leave me with much to talk about other than my medical problems. If I could, I'd talk about sucking lady penis all day. Unfortunately, I prefer eating pussy. So I can't oh, wait. This is a classic joke setup. See, what I've done here is, I set up your expectations to discuss genitalia. So now that you've heard the words penis and pussy, you're expecting to talk about trans issues. But I'm gonna change my course of direction before the punchline, which is that lady penis is political, so I can't talk about it. Pussy too, because of abortion. The joke on top of this joke is that instead of talking about religion, politics, or finance, or the equally taboo sex, I discussed joke construction. Was it funny? Is Chris D'Elia? I say no. Rapists ruin everything. Just remember, kids, drugs didn't ruin Mitch Hedberg. They just gave him better company than humans. But this isn't about a comedian and a rapist. That joke goes like this. A comedian and a rapist walk into a bar. Louis C.K. locks the door. Glad there's no one else in here this time. And if I wasn't padding the runtime by discussing the episode Free Abby / Project Orca, I'd talk about the pootie tang of it all. See, the words pootie tang are what the comedians call a tagline or a tag. You want to throw as many of these into your set as possible. Unlike pus in your ass. But much like the word ass cyst, after mentioning the pus in your ass. The funnier sounding or grosser, the better. I could even add on to that and have the audience imagine a chestburster scene like the movie Alien, but it's on the cyst on my ass and there's ants in it for some reason. As if a whole anthill had festered in my butt cheek. Orange, you glad I didn't say ass that time? But now the tagline has expanded to ass, cyst, ants. And Pootie Tang is written by Louis C.K., but are we gonna let that movie go? I want to see a man who was raised by the belt make hit music. And now I just imagined locked doors and a future where men like him come after his daughters, because Louis C.K. raised those men to know for a fact there is very little consequence. And some may ask, what about Project Orca? You said you were gonna talk about your episode, and now I'm thinking this is all just a joke to you. And you can blame John Oliver for that. There is no line between comedy and information anymore. Comedy relies on a heightened sense of reality. Concepts are exaggerated. Lies are told. How many times has John Oliver put up an infographic just to tell his audience they're stupid for believing the man who told them he had information? Are you fucking kidding me? Part of my show is telling people that I am confusing and abusing them to strengthen them to others using those tactics. Is that what John is doing, or is he just seeing if comedy is more effective propaganda than news wings? For fuck's sake, at least Joe Rogan separates his comedy from his podcast. Do you even believe half the shit you say, John? I can pound out 20 minutes of script a day by myself. You have a whole writer's room and editing team and haven't been interesting since 2018. Is his weekly show even still on? So yes, this is a joke. The world is quite literally a joke to Britain, and if that's the way it is, then their world is a joke to me. The only one worth saving is a trans woman because it's funnier that way. It's funnier to shit on everyone who thinks they're better than her. It's funnier to blame the British for the Holocaust. It's more true than you think. It's funnier to provide housing for Gaza by pulling apartment complexes out of the sea in the form of cruise liners because the British think Palestinian lives are a joke. Why is that the punchline we see? I don't even pay attention to the news, but I've seen the footage. Why? Because their lives are a joke. Or bearing witness is enough. Enough to affirm consent to whatever happens next. I don't consent to war. I don't consent to debt as foreign policy. I don't consent to colonialism or funding agendas that don't benefit the region they take place in. And you know what? I don't consent to some king telling me which books get put in my Bible, especially not a British one. And I certainly don't consent to the limey bastards who taxed us without representing us, buying our land, and acting like they do represent us. And this is hell for me. Because this hate has caused me to lose a piece of me I just found. I finally had a relationship free of sex. A relationship where I could focus on magic. I could focus on whimsy. I could chase a dog into the woods just to see where it would lead us. I was reintroduced to the beauty of the world. I saw the earth meet the water, dry out, and catch flame. I shared more deeply and loved more openly than I ever thought possible. All as a friend. And that's what the monkey suit means to me, and what makeup means to so many men. It's a symbol that says, hey, I'm ready for that. Because some men aren't. Some men can't get past their dicks. Some men can't be in a room with an attractive woman without locking the door. And some women get so caught up in that reality, they don't see you as a man if you don't. Or they don't see themselves as attractive if you don't. Because other men couldn't help themselves. Why can't you? Why do you respect my space? Is it because I'm not attractive? And I don't want to be that man. I want to be the kind of guy who can go a whole day talking about ice cream and bugs and fun things to do at amusement parks or on the beach. The kind of guy that isn't threatening because he will respect space and make you feel attractive. While writing this series, I met up with a friend who made me dinner. And the thing about this friend is her hair comes down to a point in the middle of her forehead, and you can trace that down past her cute nose and onto a similar point on her upper lip. That makes it slightly more seductive when seen with her hair. I'm so glad she doesn't do bangs, and she lets her hair grow on her legs, and by the time you remember that, she's already caught you looking. And she's got a boyfriend. And the last time I slept with someone who had a boyfriend, they didn't ditch the habit. So I said, hey, I better leave before I do something that makes us both feel awkward. And I can't wait to see her again, but I know I won't always get those chances because I can't promise I'll always be that guy. And makeup doesn't change that. But every time a man locks the door without being asked, every time a man doesn't respond to no or does what I did and takes silence as a yes, you ruin it for the rest of us. You ruin women's trust in men. Men's trust in men. And I suggest you get to Britain. Hanson and Hanson for President 2024.